So, do you know that feeling when you try to improve a legacy system, only to find that there are like much deeper issues and you just like to burn the whole thing down? Well, let me tell you how we were deploying an API gateway. So at Mews, we have this API for external partners, which we call Connector API, and partners need it whenever they need to integrate with us to manage reservations and guests. And this API has been around for a while. It has been introduced in 2015, and over time we got over 1,500 integrations, which produce 36 million and more requests each day. And the API didn't change too much in those 10 years. And there are some questionable design decisions which were made very early. So for example, this is how you retrieve reservations. It's a post request. There's this date which specifies the version of the operation, and you send a JSON body, which also includes these access token and client token, the client credentials, which isn't really RESTful, but we don't claim it's a RESTful API. Anyway, this API, along with most of our backend code base, exists in a single monolithical repo. And this monolith also handles authentication and rate limiting for the API. And we need rate limiting because our partners like to occasionally burst their traffic. So we have this monolith deployed behind a load balancer. This automatically scales as there is an incoming traffic. And what happens when the partner bursts their traffic? Well, the load balancer automatically scales new instances. Only for those new instances reject incoming requests because of rate limiting, which is pretty wasteful, right? So we thought maybe we should put something in front of the monolith which is like rate limiting aware, something like API gateway. Maybe it could also handle authentication, and maybe eventually it would help us to break the monolith into smaller services. So we were picking like API gateway vendors. Some of them tried to convince us to change our API because it's so non-standard, but we really insisted on backward compatibility. So we picked like a product we were happy with, and we started implementing it. And that's where the fun started. So do you think those two paths are the same? Like, I guess not, right? They are like, they have different casing. You have those extra slashes. They are not the same, right? Right? Well, we use ASP.NET, which is case insensitive, and it does like a lot of URL normalization behind the scenes. So we knew about this. We like implemented URL normalization in the API gateway, and we were golden, right? Well, not really. Once we got it into staging environment, we got like a report from other team that, you know, like our payload, that's the one on the right, doesn't work anymore because even our JSON parser is case insensitive. We didn't know that. And if you are asking why we are parsing JSON in the API gateway, it's because of those credentials. That's a pretty terrible idea. Don't do that. We will be moving to header-based authentication, but we still need the backward compatibility. And we were all fine, but then we got a report that this JSON payload is rejected by API gateway by an internal user because, well, you can see it's not like a correct JSON. There's a trailing comma there. But it turns out the parser we use, Newtons of JSON, was always accepting these trailing commas, and it's by design. And obviously, we had an API client who produced JSON like that. So yeah, a lot of scary stuff like that. We have learned that our logs don't tell us the full picture because we log our incoming requests once they are parsed and normalized and everything, so we didn't see those issues there. However, there is like a sort of like deeper meaning behind this all. Maybe you are aware of robustness principle, which tells you to be conservative in what you send and liberal in what you accept. But it would work if the producers were conservative in what they send, which definitely they are not. So instead, we are embracing this Hiram's law, which tells you that all observable behaviors of your system will be depended on by somebody. So going forward, we are more strict and more intentional in our designs. And that's it from me. Remember the Hiram's law. My name is Jan. This is where you can reach out to me and also check out the Mews R&D site. And I will see you at the Mews booth.